What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Next Level Teaching. I'm your host, Jeremy Anderson, here with my super dope co-hostess with the mostest, Miss Tori Rodriguez, a.k.a. T-Rod. What's up?
Hey, Jay. How are you?
Amazing. How you feeling?
I'm doing really good.
Yeah.
Enjoying puppy life.
Oh, yeah. You got a new puppy on the scene. She got a new puppy on the scene.
Yeah. She is Daisy. Yep. Named after my grandmother that passed away actually this week a year ago.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. My dad's mom.
Okay.
So blessed to kind of have her energy there.
Life. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Daisy looks cute, but Daisy looked like she'd be getting into stuff.
Oh, Daisy likes to bite.
Oh.
Yeah. She's, when I picked her out, the guy that I got her from said, called her Little Miss Personality, which is perfect for me, right? I was like, that's my dog. That's my dog. Right. But yeah, she definitely has lots of personality.
Wow.
But it feels good. And it's so good to see Lainey, my 9.5-year-old dog, start to live again, you know, like to really get energy. They play so much, and it's making me happy because sometimes you know we need that youth and a little bit of change in our life to revive what we have going on. So
that means you sound like there might be some teachers out there that's on year 30 that might need a young teacher sit up under them to bring in a little spunk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A little excitement, because Lainey was slowing down.
She was.
Whenever I see the pictures, Lainey was just always kind of laying and kind of just in chill mode. But Daisy done bringing the life out of her. And I'll say I've had something else in my life happen recently. That has. What's his name?
No.
Okay. Because I'm about to start praying over. Right. We're gonna introduce y'all to our guest in a minute, but the people want to know. Tori.
No, she's still single. So if anyone out there knows, just let me know. He's got to be a good, godly man.
If you don't love the Lord, don't even come this way.
Amen.
Don't make me go into Big Brother mode. Okay?
Amen. No, I actually got a nice refresh myself, and I just got a new position at a new school for next year.
Let's go.
And so I'm staying in the same district, but sometimes we just need a little change.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I feel like I was like Lainey. I was just getting, I don't know. Yeah.
Not fat.
No. Well, I don't know.
I said not fat.
I don't know. This quarantine 15, let me tell you. No, but I feel like I just needed something to just bring me to life again. So yeah, that's an exciting bit of news as well.
We're excited for you.
It's an exciting day, and it's also exciting because we have Tyson Askew here with us.
My man.
And I'm excited because he's been teaching just about as long as I have. And so
Powerful story.
Yeah, he's got some good stuff.
Y'all are in for a treat.
Got a book that we're going to talk about. But before we get to know Tyson, Jay, why don't you let our listeners know who we are here at Next Level Teaching?
Look, at Next Level Teaching, we're a bunch of people that's passionate about education. You know, I was never in the classroom, but I have been advocating for educators, teaching them and training them on how to connect with the hearts and minds of students. I had a group of teachers that changed my life after my third try in third school for the ninth grade, right? And so I fully given my life to this thing. And Tori's a teacher extraordinaire. And so we came together to create a podcast. And it's a place where you can laugh, learn, and live your best life. And so we're excited to have you, Tyson, man. Appreciate you
glad to be here.
Accepting the invitation, my man.
No problem. This is an honor.
Yes, sir.
Definitely
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, tell us this here. We always get into the first question, right?
Okay.
Why did you decide, or let me ask you this question this way. When did you first know that you were called to be an educator? Because we don't feel like education is a career or an occupation, right, Tori?
Yeah, no, you have to be called, but you also have to be a little crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that you're a little bit crazier because you are with elementary school kids, right?
I am.
And everyone knows how I feel about that.
That's another level right there.
That's definitely another level. So, yeah, I feel like my calling came, and this is just crazy, but I was in kindergarten. I will never forget it. I was in kindergarten. I was attending a school there, elementary school, and I had an amazing music teacher. Her name was Miss Bramlett, and she was dynamic. Every time I went in her classroom, I was definitely inspired by her. I was inspired by the look of her room, the energy, everything about it just literally fed me. And so I will never forget one day she was sitting there. She was playing a harpsichord. You know, we were strumming to some song, probably Down by the Bay or something. And she was singing. And I just looked up at her and I was like, I'm going to be just like you one day.
Wow.
And
wow.
And she, you know, leaned down and she was like, yeah, you really are. You're going to be just like me. And years later, I became just like Miss Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a journey getting there.
Right.
It definitely was a journey getting there, but eventually got there, yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's rich. So were you always at the school you're at now, or did you transition there?
The current school that I'm teaching at now, transitioned there. So I taught in Alabama for some years and then came over to Georgia.
Okay.
Yes.
Got you.
So I did high school there. I taught high school there, middle school, and then elementary, and then now elementary in Georgia as well.
Oh, so high school, middle school, and elementary.
Yeah, so you've done it all.
You've got experience in all of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
The big three.
The big three, yes.
Amazing.
And you've taught music in all of them, correct?
Yes, all of them.
Okay.
Yeah. So how has this season of the pandemic been from you teaching? I guess you're not virtual. You're actually in the classroom.
Actually in the classroom.
With
yes.
elementary school kids.
With elementary school.
Are they
talk
wearing
about
their
that.
masks?
Negative.
Great.
Okay.
So
Yes.
it's an option. It's, you know,
Okay.
whosoever will, let them wear it type of a deal. But of course it's elementary school. Maybe 5% of the kids wear their masks.
Wow.
And we're all in, you know.
Wow.
Of course, when the pandemic first happened, and we had to go, I think everybody had to go virtual then. They
Yeah.
just closed schools,
Right.
and which was one good thing about the schools, and we were actually prepared for that.
Yeah.
Because we've already had Chromebooks. Our kids do a technology class where that's all they do is Google Classroom. So
Love that.
they were already prepared that, you know, they just literally packed up the backpack with the Chromebook in it and took it home like it was normal. They just stayed at home.
Wow.
So they were prepared for that. But, you know, when school came back in for the fall, it was just like, okay, all doors open. We're all back in school. You know, we're here. It is mandated, however, that they wear the mask on the bus. So, like, if you travel to school, I know.
Yeah, that's so weird.
I know.
They're keeping, and I love that they're keeping your transportation staff safe. That's important. But what about you guys?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a little conflicting, you know.
Yeah, no kidding.
I think they have to sanitize getting on the bus, and they have to wear the masks, you know, come into school.
Wow.
But
That's a lot.
when they get to school,
how nervous does that make you at the possibilities that you could catch COVID from one of your students?
very. Being that there are a number of people that have caught COVID, being one of myself.
Really?
Yeah, definitely caught COVID.
Wow. Okay. Hold on.
At school.
At school, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm saying it's, you know, they never say, you know, where,
Yes.
but I mean,
So 2020
When
You've
you're
been
at-
safe otherwise.
right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
'Cause you had
9-10%.
you were in the hospital. You had a procedural surgery, and so this came before or after that.
the first case.
First. First.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Hold on. Wait.
Let's run the train back.
Are you still in education?
I'm still in education. Still
At the
teaching.
same school?
At the same school.
Okay.
Still teaching.
That right there.
Go ahead and get him a medal.
Yeah, that right
That's
there just
next
makes you
level.
next level. And I think that
Yeah.
that is one thing that a lot of people don't recognize and appreciate. We've had some teachers at my school as well that have got COVID, and we are not fully face-to-face. We are concurrent, so we have some people that are online and some people that are face-to-face, but the people that are online, the people that are face-to-face are required to wear a mask.
Wow.
And we're doing our best to socially distance, but at this point we have so many kids in the building, it's impossible to socially
It's
distance.
impossible.
And yet we're still asked to tell the kids, all right, remember to stand underneath. We have like little paws on the wall
Okay.
to show them how to stay distanced. And they're still not even 6 feet. They're like 3 to 4 feet apart. And our kids still can't stand underneath the paws because there's so many of them at this point. And we've had teachers that have caught COVID and are coming back into the building to teach. And I I cannot understand it right now.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just tripping on when you was like the second case or after the first case. Like and you said my next question is, and you're still teaching.
Yeah.
Right.
So go ahead and see what you're going to say, and then we'll come back.
I was going to say, like, how you were saying that your kids are being social distanced by, giving them a frame of reference. This is the same thing pretty much, at the school that I teach at. But like I said, you're in middle school, right?
Yeah.
And I'm in elementary school.
It's impossible to keep them.
That is impossible to keep elementary kids.
Even middle. They won't do it. It's defiance.
It is. It's just not going to happen. There are a lot of protocols put in place.
Yeah.
The good, weak, everybody try to go hard. We're trying to keep it. But after that, it's just like, there's just no way. You put all these protocols on top of trying to teach curriculum, trying to teach, character development. You're trying to teach so many things, and we have all these protocols in place. It's just something's going to go out the window.
Amen.
So it's weird because it's like you still have your joy.
Right.
So let's talk about that. Because I can imagine some educators would get disgruntled after contracting it the first time or second time from their kids, especially. Especially.
I'm just be honest about that. Sorry, Jay.
And it's one thing if you go to a school and it's like they wear masks. It's like, hey, we tried our best, but it's like I don't know. People always say how they would act, so I don't know how I would respond. Hopefully, I'd be in the spirit, but maybe I would feel like if you are at least made mask a requirement, you would have stopped me from having to take these visits back and forth to the hospital.
Right.
It's like after the first time, like, what was your thoughts? How did you feel? What were the emotions? Like, kind of let us into your world because you're different for you to have to go through that a few times, but you still have this joy and peace.
Right. So, I mean, my first mindset, this could be, it's just, I guess, the joy of teaching because my whole thing was like, oh my God, there's a sub in my room. I got to get back to my babies.
Wow.
Facts.
That's the first thing that comes to my mind. There is somebody in my room that's not qualified to do
what I do.
And what I do. And right now my kids aren't learning. There's a video playing.
Yeah.
And so this is what I actually did. I literally got to a place right in my house, set up a little background, pre-recorded lessons, and sent them. I said, play this lesson as if I'm standing in front of my classroom teaching.
That's amazing.
And that's what they did.
Next level.
I just couldn't, in my mind, think like when I get back to my classroom, my kids are not going to know anything.
Yeah.
We're going to be so far behind.
Yep.
I just had to do that for my kids.
Are you not able
students.
to teach virtually to them in person?
Well, we have restrictions about that.
Okay.
So I'm thinking I'm hearing this question right. Teach virtually to them while there are other kids at home at the same time?
So, no. While you're at home sick.
Okay.
So like I was quarantined at one point.
Okay.
Even though I had tested negative, I was quarantined. And so at one point, I was actually here at Jay's house, sitting right over there, teaching all my kids. And I have some kids that are online, but also to my kids that are in person.
Got it.
I was over the projector, and I was teaching to my kids in person and at home while I was at home.
Got it.
And she was disciplining and redirecting. Scooter, sit down, Scooter. It's just like, sit down, Scooter.
I was.
Samantha, you've been in the bathroom for a long time now. I'm like, wow, how is she managing home and classroom? Next level.
Teacher life right there.
Right.
You just know. You just know. Like, turn around. Hey, face the camera, please.
Yeah, I think that could have been possible.
Okay.
It could have been possible, but keeping in mind, like I was doing those pre-recorded lessons when I was feeling well, because I was out.
You were
sick.
positive, and I was negative. I guess that makes sense.
And then, so I was dealing with that, the COVID thing, and then I had a surgery that turned into like craziness. I had my tonsils removed and my adenoids removed, and then during my recovery, I woke up one morning and it ruptured, so I had to go back. Yeah, I had to go back to the emergency room. They were like stitching and sewing stuff up again, and so that was just a whole so I was like on pain pills.
I remember we had one conversation. I was in Vegas doing something. He was like, "Hey, Jeremy," I was like, Are you okay, buddy? He's like, I'm just going through some things. I was just like, okay, Tracy, we need to have a word of prayer. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that prayer definitely helped me out. I needed that because I was on pain pills. Man, all time, like just medications, sinus stuff.
So you've been through it this year on top of dealing with everything else with the pandemic, other family issues, just a lot of different things, life. Yeah. And so going into the classroom and teaching with all that still,
heavy.
It's just a lot. Yeah.
This is why, as a country, we have to change the narrative of other professors or professions like doctors and engineers doctors and engineers and lawyers, attorneys. We've got to put, when you mention those, you got to put educators up in there.
Definitely.
Because people that might do financing or architect, like they're working with numbers on a computer, but we're working with souls. We're working with precious children. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And for us to have to juggle everything that's going on, for you to have to juggle the tonsils removed, the adenoids and the rupture and the COVID once and the COVID twice and like all these different things and still be there for your kids. And for you to have the mind that's like, oh no,
I need to be there for my
COVID
kids.
again. We're going to have a sub. What am I going to do? Most people would be disgruntled or upset or frustrated, and rightfully so.
Right.
But your approach was like, I'm going to figure this out, but I'm concerned about them.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Let's take that, because I'm feeling his heart there. And let's take that and talk about your book, Neglect-Ed, Developing the Lost Art of Teacher-Student Relationships, Neglected Prospects.
Yeah.
So what moved you to write this book? Again, the title is Neglected Prospects. The subtitle is Developing the Lost Art of Teacher-Student Relationships.
Yeah. So
I hear your heart there as it relates to what you're sharing. So what inspired you to write this book? And tell us what the book is about.
Okay, so definitely. So what inspired me to write the book, I was having a conversation doing my master's program with one of my professors. And so we were talking, and she was like, so you're going to write a paper basically about what is your ammo for education, what drives you, what pushes you, what kind of got you here. It was just a whole gamut like of a web, and put this paper out there. And so my thing was, and most people didn't know this, even into this book. So this book really dispels my history coming into education. That I didn't graduate high school with my graduating class. And that was a hard thing for me.
Yeah.
That was a really, really, really hard thing for me, because I always had this dream of being a music teacher from kindergarten, like I said previously. So I knew that I had to have a degree to teach. And here I was, I didn't even have a high school diploma. And I didn't get my high school diploma. It wasn't because of, a lot of it was not because of me. I would definitely say that. I think a lot of it was a part of the neglect of teachers. And so I was considering myself as a neglected prospect. I was a kid that was sitting in a classroom that was very overlooked. And in critical years, like middle school is very critical. High school is very critical. And there were I would think back, and my professor calls me, she was like, "Well, did you have any relationships with your teachers?" I was like, "Yeah." And I said, "Well," and I started naming them, and she was like, "Well, what grade were these?" And they were all elementary teachers. I had one high school teacher that I actually connected with, had a relationship with, and she was just like, "Oh, you were neglected." And so we just started talking, and this book just happened, and so I look back when I was teaching high school at how many kids would come to me sharing their stories about how I don't feel a connection to this teacher, so I'm not going to do their work because that teacher doesn't like me. It's that whole thing. I don't feel motivated because that teacher doesn't like me, and so they're just, and we push them, well, you got to do it for yourself. But it will be easier if the teacher liked me. That's the response.
Well, and I saw something the other day on Instagram on one of the teacher pages that I follow, and it said something about how students know if you don't like them, or even if they think you don't like them. Because
definitely.
I've had so many kids that think I don't like them. Not so many, but I have had some kids that think I don't like them because we haven't made that connection. And I'm like, no, that's not it. We just... we haven't had time to really like sit down and get to know each other. And you have to make that connection with kids.
Yeah. The connection is vital. Like when I talk to a lot of teachers about, they were like, well, what's the key? Like how do you get all these kids to love you like this? I mean, I'll walk through the door and there could be a line. They'll all jump out of line and run up to me, give me hugs. Like there's mayhem if I walk through the halls. If I walk, so
you're the reason that's messing up this social distancing.
Yeah, I'm messing up.
Forget 6 feet. We love Mr. Askew.
And a lot of teachers are always just, how do you get that? What is the? And I said, you just really have, like you said, you have to make that time to make that connection. And you have to. Be intentional about it.
Oof,
you have to be intentional about making the connection with the student. And also during my master's, I was my thesis was on teacher-student relationships, and there are so many articles and so many studies that I read through that said that student-teacher relationships is the key to student success.
Yeah.
Right. But I never found an article that said, this is how you do this teacher-student relationship.
Hence the book.
Hence the book. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, that was my life. I'm studying it. Why not write a resource about it?
Wow.
And so the book is pretty much like a resource of this is how you develop a teacher-student relationship.
So for you teachers out there that are listening right now and you're like, how do I do that? First off, pick up the book. I'm going to.
Facts.
Because I think that sometimes we don't know how to. And sometimes I think as teachers, we think, well, I don't have time for it in the curriculum.
Yes.
But if you don't have the relationships, then it's not even it's a moot point to even try and teach the curriculum if the kids aren't willing to do the work for you, if you haven't created the relationships. So create the relationships. And sometimes we have to say, I'm going to ignore the curriculum for a little bit because students come first. And we want to talk about how students come first.
Yes.
But is that really what we're saying? No, half the time we say curriculum comes first and not students come first. But we have to flip that and really realize that we can't make these relationships by just shoving content down their throats.
Yeah.
You can't.
Definitely.
You have to put it aside sometimes. And that sounds so counterintuitive to what we want to do as teachers, what we're taught to do.
Yes.
And that's the main thing, what we're taught to do. Because I think so many teachers want to just put the curriculum to the side and make those relationships. You got, and this is something I have been, Jay, talking about so much this year. You have to buck the system sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
You have to buck the system and say, I'm going to care more about my students than about the curriculum because they will pick up the curriculum once I make that connection with them.
Absolutely.
And
so I'm sorry.
But,
I see this quote here you have from Dr. James Comer. No significant learning occurs without significant relationships.
Exactly.
I can't snap my hands. Too much cocoa butter on them.
Too much coconut oil. Just swing them together. Yeah, that's deep. So speak to that because I see the subtitle here, developing the lost art of student-teacher relationships. Yeah. And so what are 3 maybe principles that you could share as it relates to building that student-teacher relationship? What jewels or what things do you mind leaking? And I already got a copy for you over there.
Good, I'm glad.
Just make sure he signs it before he leaves.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have this thing, and I'm still developing it, but it's called the Askews of student. It's like almost like the hierarchy of learning. But the 3 of the key things, I would definitely say, number 1 is shared accountability. You have to figure out who are the players that are in this game with this student. Is it the bus driver? Is it a cafeteria worker? Is it one of the parents, a cousin or aunt, that is also in this child's heart? that you can connect with to see how we can develop this kid, this kid, transition this kid. You have to put all the players or figure out who the players are in this kid's life. That this kid is like, okay, this is the one, Right. So shared accountability is important. You can't. It's like that saying, it takes a village to raise a kid. You can't do it by yourself. You can't, foster that by yourself. So definitely shared accountability. The next one.
So let's stop there, because I put up a quote. I looked at a quote I put up a few years ago that said that it takes a village to raise a child, but what if the village is sick?
Oh.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's something that was put on my heart, because I started finding that so many kids are struggling, and I start talking to all these parents and all these teachers. It's like, and the parents are worse, and they're sharing me these horror stories. And I'm like, I can see it. And then I start, schools will bring me in to speak to the students and teachers, and we do like a whole school takeover. And then they have like a town hall meeting where the parents will come out. And as I'm meeting some of the parents, I'm like, yikes. This is a challenge. So, let's just maybe dialogue and just on that first point and say, what do you do when you find that, okay, let's see who's connected with this car. Okay, the mom, or the aunt, and then you realize like, ooh, that's really toxic. Do you kind of not omit them? Does that make sense? But let's not put so much focus there, but maybe switch the bus driver and the PE teacher and someone else. Like, what do you do in those situations?
Wow. Okay. So when you were talking about that, this whole vision came in my head of the movie Lean on Me, when the principal, Joe Clark, said, if we got to bring their mama in here to teach them, we're getting the kids in here on Saturday. If the mama got to come, bring the mama. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And he went to the mama's house.
And he went.
He saw the situation.
Exactly.
And was like, oh.
Exactly. So I definitely think, and there are some at a school that I taught at in Alabama, that was something that they did. They actually did have, literacy programs for parents that was set up. There were things that they had set up for the parent, because they were like, if the kid sees the parent studying and taking the time to do some studying, kids learn by observation. They will also try to make that time for their study habits. You know what I'm saying? So that was their aim on their goal for that.
Right.
I mean, sometimes, you don't want to say like, that's a lost case. You do everything that you can.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To make sure that you connect the heart of the child with the people that are connected to the child.
Right.
Like if it's their mother, you definitely want to help the mom and the child. You wanna do all you can.
Yeah. And I think sometimes just having that conversation to let them know, like, hey, I just want you to know I'm not calling to complain.
Right.
Tori is actually a really bright student.
Yeah.
I see a lot of great qualities and characteristics in Tori.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now the mom might be like, I bet you do. I'm like, no, really, it's been pleasant. What Tori do? Like, nah, Tori didn't do nothing. Tori's been cool. But I just want you to know I'm committed to helping Tori go to that next level, and I'm hoping I can count on you.
Right.
Yeah.
And there are times I imagine that some of those relationships that can seem like, okay, this person is toxic, you can, in a sense, win them over.
And that, I think, is something is that we can even change the narrative with that parent.
Right.
Sometimes, I have definitely had parents that are like, they come in and they're like, my child just is awful at math. Do you know how many times I've heard that, y'all?
Right.
It is so sad that their parent is speaking that over them before they even walk in my classroom.
Yes.
And so because that's spoken over them, then they start to believe that narrative about themselves.
Yeah.
And so we can even, as teachers, change that narrative between the parent and the student at times by speaking truth that like their child is able to do this, and showing them those little wins, even in the beginning, so if their student still didn't pass that assessment, but you're seeing
progress,
Right.
That's it.
And having that growth mindset as a math teacher is something that's so important.
Major.
And letting parents understand what growth mindset is as well. And seeing that your child has the potential. We just have to unleash it and let them believe that. And that's something that I've had to talk to multiple parents about, is just they just have to believe that they can. And we have to be instruments in that process.
Most definitely.
and be cautious of what they're speaking
Yes.
over the
Yes.
child. That can,
And as teachers, we have to be careful on what we speak over our students as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
We have to be careful on what we speak over our students because our words, I mean, it's life and death.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I definitely agree. I'll interject this. So, also, I feel like teachers have to be careful what they say about students to other teachers.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I hate when they do that.
Yeah. I mean, when teachers say negative things about a student to another teacher, that builds in that teacher's mind really how to treat that child.
Yes.
Wow.
It's so true.
And now they go into it with some set biases, a set mindset. You done already put this kid in the box.
Exactly.
That kid might have been great with you, but now that energy, that spirit, you done spoke that thing.
Right.
Wow.
And
And,
like-
it's not malicious.
No, right.
It's just like almost venting.
Yeah.
But even sometimes you're trying to like warn them to let them know what they're getting into. And I think sometimes as teachers, when we get those students, like I had one last year that my best friend is our chorus teacher, and she let me know that she had this student in 6th grade, and he was coming to me in 7th grade, and she was like, he has had lots of behavior issues. And he and I together proved that wrong in 7th grade. And he did not have a single behavior issue in my class. I was the teacher that he constantly came to, that he loved, that he worked hard for, because I decided that we were going to flip the narrative. And so deciding also that if that's what people have said about that student and that's what that student was like last year, we have the ability to change that for next year and prove that that's not who you have to be every single year. And just because you were that one year doesn't mean that that's who you always are.
Exactly.
Ryan, write this down for me. Text it or email it to me. Because I'm using this for when I do another professional development. I'm still there.
You can just bring your girl in if you ever need.
Make the decision. Make the decision.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take 5 to 10 minutes and just talk about the importance of us internalizing, make the decision that they will be a scholar.
Yeah.
It's one, because I've been telling them teach by faith and not by sight. Before we even go there, make a decision that they're going to get an A in your
It's a
class.
choice.
Definitely.
Make a decision that they can be a scholar.
Just like being in a marriage, not that I would know, but I know that it's a choice every single day that you make to love that person.
Absolutely.
It's not something that comes easy, but it's something that you choose. And we have to choose that with our students as well. That's what love is in general. Love is not something that comes easy. There are challenges in every relationship.
Right.
And we have relationships with our students. And we have to make a choice every single day to love them and forgive them for the things that they did yesterday that might have hurt our feelings because we are so invested in our students. I mean, I call them my kids. They're not my students. They're my kids. They know that. The other day I said, proud mom moment. Because they are my children. They're the closest thing that I have.
And some of them that doesn't have that intimate love connection with their mom, hearing that from you, it's like butterflies in their heart.
Oh, yeah.
And so that can be very important with you sharing that as well.
Yeah.
Yep. So make a decision, and I'll wax deep on that later. give us 2 more. Give us 2 more. What you were sharing.
Okay, so meaningful feedback. Meaningful feedback is another one. So meaningful feedback, how I look at that is that you actually dive deep with the student. You know what I'm saying? And you actually clarify. Like, I don't like it sometimes when we observe a kid or we do like some type of assessment on them and we never talk back to them. You know, we take all this information that we've observed from the kid
and not have that conversation.
and not have a conversation back with the kid.
How are they supposed to learn?
Like you've observed their behavior, you've observed their learning style, you've observed, just different aspects of the kid, just to take this information back and then you try to put them in a category or try to put some type of accommodations on him. but you never go back and you have a conversation with the kid.
Because if the kids don't know what their accommodations are and why they're receiving those accommodations, just like as adults, we have to know why people are feeling certain way about us, why people are frustrated with us, why we're not succeeding in something. If I don't know why, then I can't improve myself.
Right.
Yeah.
And I found out a lot of times they're doing observations based off of a kid's moment. That's not who they are. Like you said earlier, that's not who that kid is. That's a moment in that kid's life. That's just,
And most people don't have bad days.
Right.
Most people have bad moments.
Bad moments.
Yes.
It's just a moment. Yeah.
It's just a moment. And I'm not going to hold you to who you were that moment.
Right.
I'm not going to stereotype. That was a moment.
That was a moment.
And yet we do that with standardized testing, let's be honest.
What?
Wait a minute.
Let's not go there.
Let's go there real quick, please. Let's go there, please. Because let's be honest. If we want to talk about kids having a bad day or a bad moment, let's say that they didn't get enough sleep last night because their parents were arguing or fighting at home, or they didn't get to eat their breakfast because they missed the bus and they were late and they weren't able to grab school breakfast or whatever.
Or suffering from depression.
Yes.
Or just get nervous.
And
we sent Joy to school to get tested for the gifted. And guess what? We all know she's gifted.
She's gifted. That's what I was about to say. And we know she's gifted.
And she did not do well.
Yes.
You know why? She was up in there nervous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Straight got sick.
She had a moment.
They had to have us come up there and take her out. And she was like, I was so stressed. They kept telling me how much time. And I was just like.
Yeah. And honestly, it's so frustrating because, I mean, I've had a student literally get sick, like throw up during a standardized test because they were so nervous about it. And this pressure that we put on these kids because this one day of testing or this 1 week of state standardized testing determines what class they're going to be in for next year. If they are going to be gifted tested or not, if they're going to be put in the special ed program, if whatever it is, we look at that and we say, okay, are they going to be standard math or are they going to be accelerated math?
Right.
Why is that fair?
Yeah.
Right.
One day of testing.
Yeah. Based off of a moment.
Yeah.
We're going to categorize you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell us this here. I want to pivot some and see if you can share a moment with us as we're talking about the kids being in a weird place. Like, can you share with us that breakthrough moment? Maybe it was a student that you were struggling with, and then you had a breakthrough moment or a connection with them, or a kid that was driving you crazy, and then you found out their story, connected with them. Like, share with one of those moments where you almost neglected a prospect, but you saw something special, you didn't give up. Like, share with us one of those experiences.
And I talk about this one in one of the chapters in the book. This is definitely a moment, and that actually helped continue to fuel the fire for me to teach. I had a kid when I was teaching high school, and I taught at a high school that people said one of those high schools. This was literally me fresh out of college. I got the job literally in December, so I started teaching in January. Yes, school had already started. Protocols, people have already been placed, all that kind of stuff. Relationships have been built, whatever. I'm at one of those schools, and in my mind, in the music world, music education, if you get a job mid-year, something happened.
Yep.
Right.
Either a teacher got fired, they left, something's not right.
Yeah, they couldn't handle it.
They couldn't handle it. And so
we've all experienced that with a coworker.
I graduated in that.
I have.
Right.
I graduated in December. I got the job in January. And when the principal called me, school had already started a week and a half.
Okay.
But there was a teacher already hired for the job. I knew that a guy was there working. And so when she called me and she was like, can you come tomorrow? I was like, yeah, sure. I'm getting stuff. I'm excited, first teaching job, I'm there. And then I get the news that there was a guy that was there and he left. Like, he literally walked out the classroom. He couldn't handle it, just walked out. So I went in, made some connections, but there was this one kid I got connected with very, very strong, and he was like on it, behavior-wise, he has actually assaulted, a teacher at that same school. You name the trouble, he's probably had been in it. But, he was going to school, pretty much to hang out with his friends, eat lunch. This is his, I'm going to come to school. I'm not going to do anything while I'm here. I'm just going to come to school. And so I kind of connect with him. I'm trying to, hey, look. What do you want your future to be like? What do you want this to look like? And all this. And so I connect with him to the point where he'll come in my office, grab some fruit in the morning. We have small talks. He's starting to develop good character. He's starting now actually sitting in class. He started turning in homework. He's actually doing. And so I actually ended up leaving that school and came to Auburn. I was teaching down there, and I got the word. And we had stayed connected through social media, making sure, hey, you're on your P's and Q's, you're being a professional. That's all I was like, be a professional, get those attributes in there. And I got the word that he was actually killed trying to help, some friends out. And so that was just a moment for me. But his mom called me, and she was just like, he would always talk about you, how you helped him, how you would be there for him, And so that was just, it was hard for me, but I'm glad I got the opportunity to impact his life, and make that connection with his mom, So it was you don't want to lose a kid. I don't want to lose a student. I don't have any natural kids, but all of my kids that I teach, I feel like they are mine, and I don't want to lose any of them. And so if I can impact them, I'm definitely going to be on it.
I'm sure something like that drove you even deeper.
Yeah.
To connect with even more students.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think something like that is what makes you say, I've got to go further to reach more. Right. Because you saw the traction, you saw the momentum he had, and then something unfortunate happened, and somebody loses their life innocently. That I can imagine. That's why you get COVID once, you get twice, and you're thinking like, oh, my God. What's up with my kids?
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's the heart factor there.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And educators today are so selfless to where they're like, I'm going to be okay, but what about the kids?
Yeah. Right.
I think that's interesting. I heard something recently, Tori. I was listening to something online. Maybe it was a podcast or a Clubhouse. The person said that the best health care is self-care.
Yeah. I believe in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So talk about that. Like, what are you doing to take care of yourself to make sure that you're in a good place so that you can continue to show up for these kids?
Yeah. I definitely have my moments where I back away and don't do anything.
Anything.
I just, I have those moments where it's just, I need to back away. About a year ago, I got a dog, so I have a dog.
Yep.
Oh, dog club.
Yeah, I have a dog. And he definitely keeps me busy. So I'll take him for a walk, and that's like my time. I'll walk him, and that's my time. Meditation, prayer, definitely.
Yep.
Just making sure that I have moments to digress.
Absolutely.
To kind of step away from everything, so I can be my full self when I have to be my full self.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
That's good. That's good.
All right, so I want to know, especially with that first, not even full year, but like semester that you had there. I'm sure it was hard at that difficult school.
Yeah.
What advice would you give a first year teacher, especially after the first year that you had?
My advice would be definitely be intentional about figuring out who your students are, making those connections, those relationships. Like you said earlier, if you don't have that foundation of relationships, they're not going to care about your they're not going to care about your assignments, your curriculum. They're not going to care at a school like that.
Yeah,
they're not.
Even at a school like mine, I'll say. I teach at a. I mean, I'll say it's the school that I would have gone to had it been open when I was a kid. It's in a pretty nice area.
Yeah.
And my kids range. I've had a kid that was homeless, and I have kids that live in $1 million homes.
Yeah.
So it ranges. Yeah. And even at my school, it's the same thing. I mean, they don't care
if you don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Right.
So my school now is just like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just and I'll tell my kids, I've been to teach at a school in Africa. I went to Botswana.
Okay.
And taught there over the summer, and I would just be amazed at how brilliant these kids were there. And then I went over to an orphanage. They were the same way. They would show me their math in the dirt, you know?
Wow.
And I mean, you know, just doing stuff in the dirt because they didn't have paper pencil, you know? But their minds were just like, I mean, they're super smart kids, you know? And I would come back and I would bring those pictures and I would show my kids, and I was like, you guys see what they're doing? You guys have Chromebooks.
Yeah.
You know
I did the same thing when I went to Guatemala, and I showed my kids, this is what they get.
This is what they have.
You get. Yeah.
Look at their classroom. I'm taking pictures of their classrooms. You know, I'm like, look at their classroom. Look at this. You know. Yeah. What more would they do if they had this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard a story. Where did I hear this? Was it someone else that we had on here about there were some kids in Africa that were given the something to create water with.
Oh yeah.
Was that on here?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. One of our guests was saying how they gave them like very limited things, but they were able to put their minds together and figure it out.
How to how to get clean water or to get electricity or something like that. And it's so true. If they were only given, Crumpler,
the opportunities.
If they're only given the opportunities, and I think that's something as Americans that we forget too. I'm reading a book. It's like a devotional almost. And the woman that wrote the book has a company, an NPO that gives women jobs to create things. And so, yes, when we look at it as Americans, it is going to be more money than buying something off Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
But where is it coming from? And she was talking about the freedom that we have to make those decisions as Americans. And I think that that's something that we take for granted.
Oh, yeah. Super blessed.
Yeah.
Super privileged.
Oh, yes.
And so many opportunities.
Yes.
And if we could just get our kids' attention
to see that.
To see that. And then say, hey, don't get it twisted. I care about you, but you also have a really good opportunity.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You got to care about yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Final question I have for you before we get to the lightning round is when if the new administration said, hey, Jeremy, put somebody in place that's going to help us bring about some changes. And I'm like, Tyson, you're my guy. Your heart is pure. Go meet with the new administration. And the White House was like, okay, tell us one thing you would change about the educational system, and we'll implement it. What would that one thing be for you?
Are you talking about K-12 or education period?
Just period, as a whole. You can, if you want to differentiate it, but if they say, hey, like in your heart, like one thing that's going to move the needle, and they said, we're going to implement that one thing, what would you change about the educational experience in America? That's a good one.
That is a good one.
Because you only got one choice.
Yep.
Right.
Yep, you only got one choice.
Oh, wow. Oh, man.
I'll tell you the number one thing that I will change, and I just can't put anything above it. Everybody has something different too. Stop and standardized tests, all these different things. But I will put a counselor or a social worker in every single classroom. Because I feel like kids today, and that's why we have our SEL curriculum. You know what I'm saying? I believe that they need the book, the math, science, English, history, but the behavior, the mental health aspect,
be one of their classes.
Their worth, their value. Yes, that should be
one of their classes.
That should be one of the classrooms. So for me, that's something that if they said we'll make it happen, every teacher, it would be a counselor or a social worker
and that
right
would be
next to them.
one less thing that we would have to deal with as teachers, because I'm not trained for that.
Right.
I'm not trained for that. No one gave me that training.
Right.
And when we look at the educational system when it was first set up, it was set up to where it's certain things that you're going to get from your mom and dad.
Yeah.
Right.
You come here and we'll teach you about English, we'll teach you math and some science. But there are things you're getting at home. So when they're not getting it at home, and it's like now it's like,
Wow.
I got to be that uncle or that dad or that mom. And I've got to teach you about morals and value and worth and respect and not bullying and how to treat other people and how you should view yourself.
And your counselor coming into your classroom once a quarter is not enough.
Y'all get that?
That's what, we get it once a quarter.
We don't get that.
And it's not enough.
Wow.
Yeah. We're not,
so back to you. It's not enough.
Yeah. That is good. I would definitely say the funding for education K-12 would have to be across the board.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Yeah, that's strong.
It can't, the funding, it has to be across the board. Mm-hmm. If there's a higher need, everybody's go up.
Yeah.
If it's a higher need over here, we all go up.
So what about, what about the schools that really already have everything that they need? Mm-hmm. So you're saying the schools who are struggling get up to that level there. Yeah. So you know what that next level is, and this is my personal opinion. Because that there is equality. Right. Mm-hmm. If I got a slice of pizza or if I got a whole pizza pie, you get 3 slices, I get 3 slices, you get 3 slices. Mm-hmm. But if we find out that Tori hasn't eaten in a day or two, or maybe you get 2, I get 2, Tori gets, what's the math there? 5. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think that next level is to say schools who are really, really struggling don't just get equal, but they get that much more. And that's where you go from equality to equity. And so that's just something, that I've been noticing. And in our country, they try to put some things in place. You got Title I funding and stuff like that, but it's so much more that's needed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I can imagine that comes from a place of you being at a school that obviously needs so much more.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't have it.
Well, and I think that getting them where they are, but then that extra is that Title I.
Exactly.
Is stuff like that. Because
there we go.
Because I'll tell you, coming
we giving them Title I when they down here, which takes them here.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
to,
and then also, you've got schools like where I'm at now, where the PTSA takes you up here, right? And then you got my Title I school that I started at. And okay, so we got our Title I money, but we don't have all that PTSA money here that's completely changed. And so it's also changing things, because I'll tell you, a lot of the PTSA money is also coming to me as a teacher and giving me little treats and bonuses that help boost my morale as a teacher. And when your teacher's morale is high, then they're, what they're giving to the kids is going to be more. And so you're missing that in those Title I schools as well, because the Title I money is going to the actual classroom. But where is that PTSA fund? Because you don't have parents that are involved, because they can't be involved because they're working 2-3 jobs. So there's that gap as well to help boost the morale of the teachers in those Title I schools.
I just thought it was something.
We
should start having these schools tithe. You tithe their PTSA money. So 10% of what y'all raise at this very affluent school, would you give 10% to a neighboring school?
Wow.
That's a thought.
That's a challenge.
That is a challenge.
That's a challenge out there for some of you. For some of you principals.
To adopt a school. That's right.
For some of you principals out there that are listening, I might talk to my principal about that.
Yeah, just 10%. Because when I go to districts, and I might speak for the students or the teachers, but when they have me both come in and the town hall comes, those are typically the people who come are the ones who are, I don't want to say healthier, but more involved.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They are in a different place. They can afford to, those extra things.
Take the time off to even come.
Right. And so when you have that, it's just like, man, the ones who really need to be here, the parents who really need to hear this message from me, they're the ones who's working a double shift.
Right.
And so we've got to find ways to bribe them, like your kids get extra credit, and it will provide dinner, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But if there was a way where we could just take 10% from that and then give back to another school in need, I think that'd be beautiful.
That would. That's
amazing. Y'all know here at Next Level Teaching, we all about solutions. We all about solutions. So that's just a thought. All right,
rapid fire. 60 seconds. You ready?
60 seconds.
All right, so don't get any of these wrong. It's really important. This is like pop quiz time.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. All right, ready?
Let's go.
Here we go. Would you rather cuddle with a baby panda or a baby penguin?
Penguin.
Oh, what's for dinner tonight?
Pasta.
Ooh, what kind? Am I coming
Chicken
over?
Alfredo.
Ooh, I'm coming over. All right. What's your favorite car?
Ooh, Range Rover.
Has someone ever slapped you in the face?
Never.
He looked in your eyes and said, no.
What's your favorite carnival food?
Oh man, what's it called? With the stuff on the top.
Funnel.
Funnel.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I can't think of that.
If you were really hungry, would you eat a bug?
Yeah, if I was really hungry, I guess I would. Chocolate covered.
Grasshoppers or something?
Chocolate covered something.
Would you go to a movie alone?
Yes.
Okay. What type of milk do you put in your cereal?
I don't eat cereal.
Oh, my heart is just so
Next
broken.
level. Next level.
Oh, so sad. Do you
Next
snore?
level.
No.
If you could
Next
travel back
level.
in time, what period of time would you go to?
Oh, 5th grade.
That's next level. The timer went off, but I had my phone on silent.
Boom.
Yeah.
Those were
All right,
some
so
good
we got to
ones.
talk. So Bugs, so Jackson, let me tell you something. My little buddy,
Oh,
if he find a little bug, the more you move, the more he gets hungry. He would bite that little head off and watch him spin.
Okay, so
Yeah.
quick story real quick over here too. I was a little baby thing and got put in timeout. And I got real quiet while I was in timeout. And my parents were wondering what was going on over there because Tori Quiet, we know that those,
Something ain't right.
yeah.
Right.
And so they called my name, and I'm in the corner, and I turn around, and there's two little grasshoppers
Coming
coming
at you.
out of my mouth.
Oh, your mouth. Wow. Hey, she was like, I'm going to eat my greens.
Listen, my uncles from El Salvador, they eat chocolate-covered grasshoppers,
Oh,
so
yeah.
maybe I was just,
That's
I don't
it.
know,
You was
getting
like,
into
no
the
chocolate.
culture.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. So no cereal, huh?
Yeah, no cereal.
Oh,
That's
I
next
could live
level.
off
There must
cereal.
be something traumatic that happened when you was young.
Okay, so
Come on and tell the story before we wrap this thing up. Because I'm thinking like, I ain't never heard
I
of no
eat cereal,
cereal.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
So I was at a friend's house. You know, you go have little sleepovers or whatever, you know, at the friend's house, and they're fixing the cereal. Well, got the bowl, pour a little milk in. It's like a recipe. Little milk, and then they take the box. And they're pouring it. And when they're pouring it, they're live creatures coming out
What?
this box. I mean, mixing with the cereal, I'm thinking, the cereal's definitely old. And I'm looking at it, and then they pour more milk, and they were like, I'm like, do you not see? Like, I know I'm here, but are you here?
Do you not see these roaches swimming out the milk?
gosh.
Stuff is,
I knew it.
It's
I
not
knew
supposed
it.
to be moving.
I knew it.
And so I was like, okay, yeah.
Who don't like Fruit Loops or peanut butter crunch or Frosted Flakes?
It's okay. I struggled with it for a
I
long
get
time
it.
because I had some sour milk one time in cereal, and it was whole milk, and I didn't drink whole milk, so I didn't know whole milk wasn't supposed to taste like that. And my boyfriend at the time took a sip, and he spit it out, and so yeah, I feel you. I struggled with it for a while too.
I knew it had to be something traumatic,
Oh,
though.
yeah.
But
it
you
was
stuck with it after all this time?
Yeah, So I was like, oh, no cereal. And so from a kid, I've just cereal. Oh no, I'm good. No,
That's deep.
Yeah.
Next
Wow.
level. But beyond that, what's deep, man, is your heart
Yeah.
for kids. This book, NE-GLECT-ED PROS-PECTS, Developing the Lost Art of Teacher-Student Relationships. This is amazing. And I think this is going to be a really amazing and powerful resource for educators who want to make that connection. Suffering a lack of proper care. Yeah. So, man, we appreciate you championing
Thank you.
students. We appreciate your passion. We appreciate you every time you got that positive, negative result. You know what I'm saying? And you quarantined, you kept coming back to the school.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that the pandemic and all of the pain and social unrest and all of the crazy stuff that came from 2020 didn't stop you from pursuing your passion and education, man.
Amen.
Oh yeah.
We appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
No
We
problem.
appreciate
Thank you.
And thank you guys for listening.
Yeah.
We are so glad that we're like getting back into the swing of
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
So don't forget to leave us a review.
Please.
I know that you liked this episode. Don't even play.
Don't even play.
We know that you did.
Guess how many stars we want, Tyson?
How many?
5.
5 stars.
Show us some love.
And check us out on Instagram and Facebook.
Yep.
At one
Next Level Teaching. You got it.
And at one Jeremy Anderson.
Yep, you got it.
And we will see you guys next time.
Peace.
Bye.
See you later.